Hey guys, today we're inside of a courtroom. Now, hopefully none of you guys have had to be inside of a courtroom, maybe except for like a school field trip or something. But the inside of a courtroom is where judges and juries and lawyers present their cases and give evidence, and then there's a ruling, a concrete ruling of innocent or guilty, or this is what really happened, or this didn't happen. And today we're going to examine some evidence of Jesus' life. And this evidence will prove that Jesus is alive. You guys know the story in the book of Luke, right, where Mary and another ladies, they were going down to Jesus' tomb after Jesus had died on the cross, and they put him in the tomb, and they put this big stone in front of him, and there were the big giant Roman soldier dudes, right? And these ladies went to go and put perfume on Jesus' body, and to go mourn, and to pray, and to see Jesus in the tomb. Why they'd want to do that? That's a little weird to me. But they go down to the tomb, and they get there, and all of a sudden, they're just shocked, and they're amazed, and their faces are like, huh? That big, huge, heavy stone isn't there anymore. And they look inside the tomb, and Jesus' body isn't there anymore. And they turn around, and all of a sudden, boom, there's these two really big, bright, shiny guys. I'm thinking they were angels, because, I don't glow like that, do you? Yeah, no. So I'm thinking they were angels that were glowing nice and bright like that. And they asked these ladies an important question. Why are you looking for the living among the dead? Jesus wasn't there. Jesus was alive. These ladies were so excited that Jesus was alive that they ran back to all the other disciples and told them, hey, guys, Jesus, we went to the tomb. He's not there. Jesus is alive. And some of them were like, no way. And some were like, no, dude, no. Well, a little while longer, some of the disciples were walking down the road. In fact, they were going to a town called Emmaus. And as they were walking, they were kind of sad and bummed out. I mean, Jesus, they thought, was dead. And this guy shows up and starts talking. They're like, hey, guys, what's going on? Why are you so bummed? Why you look so sad? And they're like, oh, man, haven't you heard? Jesus, the King, he's no longer with us. And in that moment, they turn around, they look, and they see him. And they realize that it is Jesus. Jesus is there with them. Jesus is alive. Now, you and I can't see Jesus walking down the street with us today. But there is real evidence that Jesus is alive. And just like in this courtroom where evidence is presented, how about we take a look at some of the evidence that proves Jesus is alive? The very first piece of evidence that we need to look at is the tomb itself. Now, nobody disagrees that that tomb really was empty. And in fact, the very people that crucified Jesus and hung Jesus on the cross will agree that that Easter Sunday morning, the tomb was empty. So what happened to Jesus' body? The body didn't just poof and magically disappear. The body had to do something. Something had to happen to that body. And some people believe that the disciples in the middle of the night snuck in there and stole his body. But look at how hard that would be. First of all, these disciples would have to get past two really big, well-trained Roman soldiers. That would be a very, very challenging thing. The second thing, they'd have to move that huge, heavy, giant stone that was in front of the tomb. I don't care how ripped or big or built these disciples were. That would be a next to impossible challenge. And then what did they do with the body? Where did they put it? And later on in the disciples' lives, they were out preaching and teaching and telling everybody that Jesus is alive. And years down the road, even some of those disciples died because they were telling everyone that Jesus is alive. And in fact, if the disciples had actually taken Jesus' body and hidden it and buried it somewhere else, do you think they would have given their lives? You don't die for a lie. That is just one way that we can know that Jesus is alive. In a courtroom, the most compelling evidence is eyewitness accounts. People that were there, people that saw what was going on, people that saw exactly what happened from moment to moment to moment. And the Bible is full of eyewitness accounts of people that saw Jesus after he had died, and he rose again. And they proved that Jesus is alive. There were the guys walking down the road to Emmaus that we talked about earlier. They saw Jesus. There were the women that saw Jesus being alive. There was a crowd of over 500 people that all saw and talked to Jesus. So then why would all of these people share their stories of their encounters with Jesus being alive, and some of them even die for it, if it wasn't true? Eyewitness accounts. That's great evidence. So when you look at the evidence of the empty tomb and the eyewitness accounts, we can make the judgment that Jesus really is alive. And Jesus is exactly who he said he was, and Jesus did exactly what he said he would do. So what does this mean for us? What does this mean for you and for me? If Jesus is alive, well, if Jesus is alive, then he really is God's son, because no one can raise from the dead except for God himself. So in wrapping up this case, looking at the evidence of the empty tomb and the eyewitness accounts, we can make the judgment for ourselves that Jesus really is alive, and that we can trust him because he is everything that he said he is, and he did everything that he said he would do for me and for you. You know what? This case, it's closed.